to give a chance to tell us a little about who they are. But let's give a warm Newman Center welcome to our three couples on our marriage journey. You have water, you need that in the desert. You have a microphone to share between the two of you. And you actually have a whiteboard that we're going to use here at the beginning. We're going to use it the whole time. But to start us off, why not? We're going to we're going to start here on the end. Why don't you introduce yourselves, maybe kind of where you're from, what you do. You don't have to say too much about how you met each other, because that might come out later. And like, how long have you been married?
Are we good now?
Yeah.
Yes. Hello. Okay, hi. All right, my name is Sarah White. We live down in Phoenix right now. I'm originally from California, and I'm a sales coordinator for Marriott. So I do the hotel industry.
My name is Noah White. And we've been married for 2 in June, so 2 years and 8 months or something like that. And then, I'm from California too, but we met up here in Flagstaff, from kind of local, not really, a little. And then I work on the trauma floor at Phoenix Children's Hospital.
So I'm Wayne Roos, south of New Orleans. Believe it or not, there's people that live south of New Orleans. Currently the Associate Dean in the Frankie College of Business.
I'm Angela Roos, wife of Dr. Wayne Roos, Lucky. And I'm also from South Louisiana. Cut Off is my hometown. I am currently not working, but I was a neonatal intensive care nurse for 23 years.
For 19 years.
And I traveled around the country with my career before I met Wayne.
I guess I'm going first. My name is Steve Jackson, and I was born and raised in Flagstaff. Went to this kindergarten in Emerson School, which is where the library is now. My dad met my mother at Flagstaff High School. My grandfather built Granny's Closet back in the 40s. And so we've been around a long time. Currently, I have a real estate company called Jackson Associates. I've been in real estate for 44 years.
My name is Kathy Jackson. I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. I lived up in Flagstaff. Feels like my whole life. Married him for the last 48 years. Lived in AU here together and met here at AU. And I used to work at the Chamber of Commerce. I was a membership director there for 11 years. But I retired here. And we've been married for 12 years. It's past a lot.
Okay, well, we just want to see how well you guys know each other. You may remember the Newlywed Game. So, here's what we're going to do. So, guys, this is to you, and she's going to say what's accurate. Does she prefer chocolate or flowers?
Did we write this?
So you write it down. Don't show each other. Show it. You write the correct answer real big so we can all see it. So you write the response. Here we go. Okay. We close here. We'll start on the end over here. He says chocolate. She says all forms of chocolate. And in the middle here, he says chocolate. Chocolate. He says flowers. She says flower. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Here we go. Who said I love you first? We're ready over here. So we'll go with the guys first here. So Noah, he said. He we'll go over here. He says she did. She says me. He says Kathy. Kathy says I can't remember. Here's an interesting question. I don't think we've ever asked this question here, but if she happened to lock her keys in the car, what would he say? So if you happen to lock your keys in the car, if that were to ever happen, what would he say? It's an interesting question. I don't know. We don't know what we're going to get here. Are you ready over here? Okay. So what would you say, Noah?
I would say call AAA.
And she thinks, what would he say?
Well, we have one car, so we would be in really big trouble, so I think he would ask where's the AAA number.
Oh. Good save. Why don't we say, Kathy, what do you think Steve would say?
I think he would say something like this. Don't worry, we'll get there.
Steve, what do you think he'd say?
It's very permanent. First thing I would say is,
Do you have a thought on that, Andy?
Yeah. I think he would say, I would never do that.
I would not
I love you anyway.
but what do you think, Wade? I'm on my way. Very nice. Why don't we go ahead and set the boards aside, so you won't need them. But let's ask, how did, he would share with us, how did God bring the two of you together? How was God at work? How did you meet? Whoever's ready.
So I met him because my roommate thought he was really cute. We talk about this all all the time. Like, the chances of us meeting are scary when you think about how we couldn't have. I was in a 4-year relationship at the time, which did not last beyond meeting him. And we went to a conference that they have in Old Maid right before school starts every year for all the students that are out of state. And my roommate wanted to go, and we turned back twice being there because we weren't sure if there would be food. And then we showed up, and he was like across the room. I don't even know how she saw him. And she was like, "That was cute. We need to go say hi." And I was like, "Well, I have a boyfriend. I don't care. Like, let's just go." And we met, and then it wasn't too long after that, a couple of days, I was in my dorm room, and he called me and he said, "I'm downstairs. Let's go get lunch." Like, didn't ask me or anything. He just said, like, "I'm here. Let's go." And we went to lunch. We ate that terrible Caprese. And we were there for so long. My roommate called me and was asking if we were going to be up for dinner. And I was like, "Why are you asking me? Like, it's only 2 or maybe 3 at the latest." And we'd actually been there for like 4 or 5 hours just talking. And then we came to dinner. Yeah, it ended up being like our first date was like 7 hours long.
Yeah, that's something. When I went to the out-of-state thing, yeah, Sarah didn't have like the time of day for me. I was like pulling out all the stops, trying to hype myself up. And she's like, "Good, cool." Her roommate was kind of all about. She's like, "That's not good. Let's go." I was like, "Cool." And so, yeah, I worked hard to get Sarah to go to lunch with me. I just said, "You know what? Why don't you show up and say we're getting lunch?" I guess you're
Ours is pretty miraculous because freshman year fall, and I graduated in December. I didn't turn 18 until December. So I was pretty young, but I did have a good eye for a beautiful girl, and I happened to see her driving around with a boyfriend. He had a pretty nice looking chick, but I thought she was in the car. So I recognized her, and I always during the spring semester, they built the yoga. So they had a big dance there. They used to have something here called exercise. And playing upstairs and I was such a friend. I went over, and here is this person who I had seen and just couldn't believe that now she's right there. And so she's anyway, I immediately knew that, I just completely forgiven her.
For my sophomore year, and I had broken up with my previous boyfriend, and I was really bummed out. And so I had some friends that wanted me to go to this dance, and I wasn't going to go. But at the last minute, I changed my mind, and I went, and the rest is history.
Just the one thing that was miraculous, I said there was something very miraculous, and that was that we both felt that we had met the person we were going to be with forever.
he was so differently intentional with me than any of my past relationships. He had confidence in himself and who he was, and so there was nothing like I needed to assure him of, or nothing I needed to, I never felt the need of that's gonna need to be fixed. He was so intentional and so confident in who he was, and it manifested in our relationship where he was confident to ask me out on a date and confident to take me and to hold my hand. And I was pretty smitten. I tried to keep this secret from him for as long as I could, but I would send pictures of him to my mom.
Creepy.
While we were making dinner in the dorm kitchen with 50 other college students, I would be and take pictures and just making dinner, and she was like, I'm in so much trouble, this is him. And I think he looked at me differently. I think my past relationships, it's you're beautiful, but have you looked in the mirror? Have you seen your hair? Or maybe we should wear that shirt again? And these past relationships did build me up, and he looked at me and he, when he told me I was beautiful, I was like, oh, that's what my dad meant. When you're gonna find someone who talks to you like that, I didn't ever think I would, and then he said things like that, and I was like, this is what they're talking about. This is the intentionality and the confidence and the authenticity of appreciation and love. And so it was a whole different ballgame.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Well, for me, the very night that we met at the dance, he took me back to the dorm, and I looked at him, and I knew that I was going to marry him. There was no question in my mind at that point. But what attracted me was obviously his good looks. He had really an amazing, fabulous personality. He was funny, sense of humor was great. He was a warm, genuine person. That was it just hit me right in the face. He was just an amazing person. I guess when you meet someone like that, you know right away.
You can tell that I met her on the rebound. I don't think I'm that funny, and she laughed a lot. And I like that. She's a very happy person. She was a hard worker, even at that time. She had to work for a meal ticket, so she worked at the cafeteria, and I respected her for that. On my own account, I had a paper route. I used to drive and deliver papers all over Flagstaff, some of the professors at NAU. But we liked the same things. We just loved sports. At that time, I was playing intramural football with Delta Chi fraternity. I had pledged the fraternity. We had softball in the summer times. Her and I were competitive, very competitive. She was a good athlete and loved to do sports. I had a Jeep, and our fun was driving up to the peaks on the Hard Prairie Road and all over those roads, all the way up to the Doyle Saddle at the time, going down to Oak Creek. It was pretty simple. We just absolutely loved being together. And again, she was a very happy person, smiling. have those red, rosy Irish cheeks.
So I think a lot of what they said, I had the same feelings when I met Wade. I was in relationships before and I felt, until I met Wade, I feel like sometimes I was maybe trying too hard for people to like me. Like, why wouldn't they like me? And then I met Wade and I didn't have to do anything. I just had to breathe the oxygen in the room. And he was so thoughtful. I loved the way he looked at me. I loved the way he kissed me. I trusted him right away. I trusted him right away, which was a big thing, I think. I felt like a princess, and I still am a princess, I think, in his eyes. I immediately became I don't think I was selfish, but I used to always think of myself before, and then when I met him, I started thinking about what he would like or what I should do for him before I'd even think about what I should be doing for myself. Because I just wanted him to be happy. He was a happy person, and he still is. I mean, he made me laugh, he made me cry. When I would come back, fly into New Orleans, rent a car to drive to go and visit him, when I would think about, and I know that, like his smell and him hugging me, I would just start crying because I was so excited to see him, to be able to see him.
In too deep, I'm gonna take the money. No, we're so blessed. I was in a previous relationship, and I referred to it as a jail sentence. And I often argue that I had to go through that to really appreciate. She's my buddy. After I got over how hot she was, she's just my friend. You know, I still to this day, I'm driving on campus and I see a view of the mountain. And I want to take a picture so when I get home I can show Angela. And I think when you get, I think one of the big points that everybody makes, you don't try anymore. It's just fun. You get through that point to where you're just buddies. She's my best friend first. And so you really, it's easy after that.
One of the questions asks about, what about difficulties? Is it all easy, or how do you face difficulties? And maybe, you don't have to share like one, but like, what if you want to, but how do you get through that? What helps you to get through that?
Talking about today?
Anyone can go.
So definitely there are difficulties, but I feel, first of all, we have a rule: you never go to bed angry at one another. That's our number one rule. So you sort of talk that out before you go to sleep, and I go to sleep fast, so that's me. A lot of quick talking. But I go back to the previous statement. If you're your best friend, you think about your best friend, and whether that's your guy friend or your girlfriend or whatever, it's hard to stay mad at them. And I think you learn over time what's going to make her mad. You know, things that will make her mad, and try to avoid that. Not successful at it a lot, like on Super Bowl Sunday, and pools and fun times and guys, and thinking you're 20 years old and running around the house and destroying it. Probably not something that I should have done, or not this, well, I'm talking about way back, like 3 years ago. I don't know that we really, maybe I'm biased, but we really don't fight much. I used to joke with my buddies that she plays golf, which is a big deal for me, because And she cut into all my friends' golf time, and they would give me a hard time that they were going to make a mask and put it on so they could come play golf.
And it doesn't matter what you score, it's how cute your outfit is.
So obviously there's difficulties, and I think being the friend first can talk you through it, but we just don't fight much. We just really don't.
I have nothing else.
I think what they said is, I mean, if your friends first come at difficulties, that you're a team, you know. I think that's kind of one of the things we always say. It's like, hey, we're a team, you know, and you're about to go into something tough, like, you know, the holidays, you know, seeing family. It's like, you know what? It's gonna be a rough couple of weeks getting through these holidays, but we're a team, and like we gotta stay on that mentality. And I think if you kind of come at it like you against her against you, it doesn't work. And I think you know, just kind of in our lives, just when things do get difficult, is leaning on each other and leaning into our marriage, and then kind of leaning into the sacrament of our marriage. You know, making sure that we're taking time for Mass, intentional about prayer and going to Mass and cutting time out. Yeah.
The no going to bed bad, absolutely not. I mean, you pay the price the next morning of maybe being a little tired, but I take that as penance. Because there are some things I think that we did have disagreements over, and I'm so grateful for those conversations, because you come together and you learn what the other person's thinking. I mean, you can't read another person's mind. It's just not gonna happen. And I think disagreements happen when you forget that. And so not going to bed angry has been one thing that I've really taken to heart. And that I also, in terms of difficult times.
I think you said it pretty well. Everyone makes mistakes, and it's what you do after the mistake that counts. And so sometimes I know Kathy feels like I did something that I shouldn't have done, and she gets mad. And then I'll think about it, and I'll think to myself, I really didn't do anything. But then I'll think, so sometimes you apologize first, or if there's something else that's going on in your marriage where you think possibly you're having a fight about something, like where you put the stupid pots on the stove or something. Sometimes what you can do is you can take the high road, just acquiesce and say, you know, if you want to do that, that's fine. And then what you find is the other person tends to start acquiescing too on different things. And you're giving something initially that you don't want to give because you feel strongly about it, and yet the other person also feels strongly who's going to give. You can fight about it forever. And a good way to get through it is just to be the person that says, you like to put your feet up on the couch so much, go ahead. We'll just put a blanket down there, whatever. I wasn't. I kind of was working toward a crescendo. No, the only other thing I would say is you know, someone's already mentioned it, having a lot in common, doing things together, especially if you can like the same, you know, even in sports, we both play sports together, and we have competition. When we go on a vacation, it's a series of competitions. You know, and it could be something as simple as playing checkers. It could be ping pong. Of course, you can imagine who the ping pong champion is. Ron? She got me on a cruise. We went on. I got her, or did I? Yeah, no, I got her in Hawaii. Anyway, we go down there. The more you have in common, the more things you like to do together. You know, we have 3 or 4 things that we like to do together. So when we go on a vacation, one day we'll go to the beach. one day, we're going to go swimming one day, we're going to go shopping one day. I mean, it really simplifies things when you guys love what you're doing.
Okay, that's enough. No, I'm just going to add that, you know, when you're first married, it seems like every fight you have is a really big deal. But as you go through life and you get older, you realize, let those little things go. I mean, they're nothing, really, in the scheme of things. You know, yeah, you may fight over a big thing, but the little things become a lot less bothersome. And they just melt away, they just fade away. The more that you're with someone and the more you love them.
Thank you.
Probably true for all of us.
At one point, God in the picture. The question is kind of, has God always been in the picture? How important is it really that you two are on the same page with God? And maybe, what does that look like? So, do couples pray together? What does that look like? Or where's God in the picture?
So this is going to be a little, I'm not going to cry, this is going to be a little. So Angela was a cradle Catholic, I was not. And we chased careers and grew up in South Louisiana where the house I grew up in, I could destroy with my hands. And my whole goal in life was to buy my mama a house. I did that when I was 29 years old. And thinking that those things mattered drove us for so many years that we moved across the country and did different things. And we're blessed. Didn't realize it, we're blessed. Then we stumbled to a little place called Flagstaff on accident to go to the Grand Canyon. Ended up reaching out to the president, became an executive and resident. Make a very long story short to get to this answer. Our first Easter here, Angela, she's pretty, cradle Catholic. She kind of keep driving and never pray, keep praying but never giving up on you. We stumbled to Father Pat's Easter homily 5 years ago. And we had been in and out of churches, never was the center of our life, but had been in and out of churches. And when we left there, a normal routine was we'd go give the Catholic church in that town a shot, and we'd go give a Protestant church a shot, and then we would probably never be involved in the community. And when we left that homily, it was different. And we got home and we talked about it, and I got back to the office on Monday. I promised her I was going to email Father Pat, thinking he would never email me back. I got this beat. So I sent him an email at 8:17 in the morning. At 10:38, he responded. I didn't want to open it, but he responded and invited us to go visit with him. And we got up there. I'm going to make anyway. That year I entered RCIA. Went through RCIA. She came with me to every RCIA meeting. Went through it together. We got our sacrament. I got my sacraments, and we've never been happier. I think our day now, every morning starts with the daily readings. We have our missalette, and every morning we read the readings together. And we have quiet time, but actually together. There's that quiet time with God together, side by side, in our bed, and often end with a prayer. And I know that it might not sound like much, but given the life I had lived up until this point 5 years ago, it's life-changing. And it's everything. It's gone from being really not anything to making me realize that we're all here for a twinkling of an eye, and we should be living to be the best versions of ourselves. And it took this community for me. Now, whether it was the right timing, I'm not saying anything, and my relationship with Father Matt and Father Dan have been amazing. But this place has given me so much, or given us so much when it comes to our spiritual life that it's special for us. So.
We became Catholic at the same time. I grew up without a faith, and he grew up pretty Protestant.
I grew up Protestant, but my junior year, senior year of high school, I just kind of, a lot of stuff happened, and I was just kind of done with it. So going into college, I was like, fresh slate, I'm kind of done with the whole religion thing. Whatever, no big deal. And so that's kind of where we were when we first met, just kind of not really doing anything.
Yeah. And then something happened, which was miraculous, and we talk about it later. It's a long story. But we prayed, and it worked out, and we said, oh, we should thank him. And long story short, we came here, and we sat in the very back in that corner, hoping to just be like a fly on the wall, and just here to thank him. And we were asking him to take up the gifts, and we were like, we don't even know when. Yeah, and I don't even know what I'm taking up. And we took them out and found out, you know, and I sat down and I was like, what did we just take up, and what the heck is he doing with it? And we left, and I was like, hey, I don't know what just happened, but we gotta go back, because I would have ever said, like, I am restless or anxiety-ridden before, but feeling that stillness and that rest, I was like, it was night and day.
Yeah, I think we like both left mass, and we kind of, we shook Father Matt's hand, and we thanked him, and then we walked, and we both looked at each other, and we're like, wow, okay. Like, something's happened, we both kind of felt a sense of peace, just kind of, we're not like anxious people, and I don't think I'm like an anxious person, but I just felt calm, I felt that kind of like at home even,
And he was a little further ahead than I was. I think it's played out, I think, like too, Jesus knows I need a little bit of tangibility with things. And so we went on the retreat, which I would, speak highly of until I run out of breath. And we became Catholic in 2015, so we're baby Catholics. And I would say he's what we stand on. There's nothing stronger, and I think, like, prayer life is so important, and I've learned to pray with him. I've learned from him, and I think, we don't say a rosary every day together, but, we'll say one for each other when we can, and, try and pray together as much as we can. And I think the Mass has been so beautiful because you get married during Mass. And so when you go back, you're like, you're participating in that. And I would just say, he's what we stand on, and I wouldn't stand on anything else.
Yeah, exactly what Sarah said, I think. Because you go through hard things in marriage, and I think it's important to have your faith at the center, that it strengthens you, and if you guys are kind of both pointing to that, and ultimately in the sacrament of marriage, it's pointing each other to Christ. And so I think when you kind of have that as the center of your relationship, even when you go through the hard things, that Sarah and I had a trying year this past year, just in our personal lives, and I think one thing that really helped is leaning into each other, and then leaning into our faith. And it hasn't always been easy. I think, there's days where it's easier for Sarah to be involved in her faith, and there's days for me to be involved. It's easier for me to be involved in our faith, but I think one thing is just having that at the center. And I think one thing that always makes me happy, and I think it makes Sarah happy too, is I'll get home from like a long day, and Sarah will say like, hey, I prayed a Divine Mercy Chapel for you, for your shift. And that just like almost brings me to tears every time. I'll say like during the day, like, yeah, you know, I was working, babe, had some hard stuff, and I just kind of offered it up for you, you know, and just kind of doing little things like that for each other, I think. Yeah, just having your faith at the center is good. I think that's what I'm saying.
One more note. I'm so sorry. One more. So I saw, two more notes. This is quick. So you can, I think like things are going to happen in your marriage because things happen in life. They can be big, they can be small, health, personal life, loss, defeat, whatever, you know, works with you. And I think like you can fall this way or you can fall in. Either way you're going to fall, but like what a joy to be able to fall into each other. And then my note was that I just saw this picture and I thought it was absolutely incredible. I screenshot it and sent it to you, and I haven't yet. But it's a bride and groom, and they're saying they're holding hands, and then their hands are like this, and it's meeting his hands on the cross. And you saw it. Yes. And I think like I haven't seen a more powerful image of that, you know, and so that's my note.
Well, when we got married, we got back then, well, to have a real marriage, you had to get married in the Catholic Church. And I was Catholic, I have been my whole life, but Steve wasn't. So he agreed to be married in the church. Anyway, I didn't like push him to become a Catholic because I really didn't think that was right. I mean, he grew up in the Episcopal faith, and so that was kind of like close to the Catholic. But and I got away from going to Mass a little bit when I was in AU because I don't think we had wonderful Father Matt back then, or the Newman Center. Maybe we did, I don't know. But anyway, after we got married, we had our kids right away, and I decided I was going to, you know, really get with the program and start going to Mass and drag the kids. And I had a little boy and a girl, and they were only a year and a half apart. And the little boy was like a terror. And anyway, I would go to Mass, and they'd just he'd always have like a tantrum. It was just so embarrassing. And I was by myself because Steve, you know, he wasn't a Catholic, so we weren't really going to church together. And so that went on for not a really long time, but then what I consider a miracle happened. There was a priest here called Father Richard Milligan, and he was the pastor here for many years. And Stephen he met, and the next thing that I knew, Steve was going to become a Catholic. And somehow Father Milligan inspired him to, you know, switch over. And that was the greatest blessing for us because we could go to church as a family, and we did. We started to go to church, to Mass all the time, took the kids, and he kept our son in line.
It's all true. But my childhood in the Episcopal Church was being an acolyte. We had what we called the Knights of Sir Galahad. We had these big, beautiful white shields with red crosses on them. We had lances. My father used to go with the minister with a donkey, with a mule, give Holy Communion down to the Wallapai Indian tribe in Havasu. And so I really liked being an Episcopal. There was a lot of pomp and circumstances. On the other hand, I had a good friend Larry Anderson from Phoenix. He's a judge now. And he was Catholic, and so he took me to the dance at the Catholic school one time. And while I was there, the group of the boys, I won the whistling contest after you eat crackers. And that irritated them, so they took the trophy that I got, which was this little plastic trophy full of pencils, and they broke all the pencils and threw them at me. And so it was like, you know, I don't know about these Catholics. They're so, you know, and I did go to Mass with him a couple of times. At that time, the priest was facing the altar. And, you know, it was just different. And then there were all these things about the Virgin Mary, and there were all these things about all these other things, myths through religions that you have. But when you grow up in it, you have these opinions. And it was later on that I really missed going to church. And I tried to get her to go with me. I said, I'll go with you if you'll go with me. And she was not into that. So eventually, again, because I believe I have known God my whole life. From the time I was a kid, he was important. So it was an answer to my prayer. Do that. Then I met Father Milligan, and I told him all this stuff about the creepy Catholic kids. And basically what he told me was, he said, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. Just look at the big picture. And when I did that, then it made a whole difference. The worst part was, by this time, I'm married. I've got kids. And I had to confess all of this stuff I'd done. That was really hard. But long and short of it is, what everyone's saying, especially though, when you do make a mistake or when you're in a position where you think the other person is wrong, pray about it. And what I found is through those prayers, it always seems to work out, to the point now where I get in that situation and I say, God, you always answer my prayers. You always answer them. I know you're going to answer this one. I don't even worry about it, because he always has and always will. And the last thing I would like to say is just, I got involved with the church and the charity development appeal, ushers, lectors, parish council. We both were active in the church, and stay active in the church. You know, get involved with it, stay involved with it, and it's really going to help you. And if you have a daughter that's obstinate and won't get up and go to church, do what we did and make her come with her shower cap on. Which we did. And she was stubborn enough to do it until she saw her boyfriends.
Okay, last question. It's kind of two parts. First is, given your experience, what's the point of marriage? In your experience, why has God created marriage, called you specifically to marriage? And what advice do you have for college students that may be called to the vocation of marriage?
In terms of being called, something that I was never introduced to, and I love the way of talking about it, is like people say, like if you're called into the priesthood or called to be a sister in the religious life, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about marriage like that, and I think we should, you know, because it's a lifelong thing, and it, you know, same type of commitment as becoming a priest in terms of duration, and you know, like people are like, oh, it's like being married. It was like, I fulfilled my vocation. You know, like this is what I was called to be. I love being a wife, you know, and it's, I didn't think I would ever talk like that, but I do. and to a lot of people. And I think that be my piece of advice is like to look at it like that, like a calling, the same as someone, being called to religious life, being called into marriage. It's not the same as dating someone. What was the first one?
Why marriage? What's the purpose of marriage for you? Why has God called you to marriage that you can see at this point?
I think it's to get known ahead with me, preferably. No, I think like one of the most selfless things you can do is pray for your spouse to get to heaven. Oh my gosh, that's the best thing that can ever happen to him. And I get to spend my life having a part in that. And it's an honor.
Yeah, I think in that sense, exactly what Sarah said, like just getting each other to heaven. And I think why we're married, I think why we're called to that vocation is that it's allowing us to fulfill our best selves. I think if I hadn't met Sarah and to become Catholic, which is, so important to our life right now, I probably would not be a nurse, which I love doing. Just everything we've done, like you kind of look back, and we haven't been together for too long, but you look back and you just kind of see all these little things that kind of happen leading up to marriage, and then in marriage, just kind of all the places it's taken us in the short little time we've been. I think, yeah, just that fulfillment of our sacrament is just that Sarah's made me a better person. Yeah, I think that's the vocation. And then what was the advice I was going to say? I don't know. Love your wife. I don't know.
So I feel that the calling for me is to continue to grow and to just to be better for each other and just to be more Christ-like as best that we can. And I think it's just us being together is just helping me to grow towards that. I don't think without him I wouldn't be that.
I'm sorry, I thought you were finished. I could steal your homily. But I'm not going to go there. But I could steal your homily, and it's the opening of love and preparing us for the ultimate love. But we don't have kids. And I argue, as we went through industry and landed up, I hope I wasn't misinterpreted earlier as I made it sound as though Christ wasn't in our lives and we're accomplished these worldly things. I'm now of the belief none of that would have been accomplished without Christ. I just didn't realize he was there. And now it's so important that every morning we have our daily is together. Again, it's the partnership that we're growing together. And we don't have kids. And why do I enjoy being on a university setting, given I didn't come the traditional route? It's because now I have 31,057 kids. And if you're in the Frankie College of Business, which I heard somebody say whoop whoop earlier, I expect you to come to the office and just talk to me if you're bored and come say hi. Because it means a lot. I'm there. We're there. I was telling the other couple, one of their granddaughter was a star diver here. So I probably saw her dive because we've had our sort of mission is if we have a kid in class that we know and they make the mistake to invite us to an event, we go. As a result of that, we're somewhere on this campus every night. But I'm not sure how I got there from how is Christ in our life, but I just think it's together, I guess.
Well, what was the first part?
I brought you a long way from the cliff.
What I asked is, what's the purpose of marriage, but also, like, what can college students, how can college students prepare for that mission?
Well, I know for myself, I always wanted to be a wife and a mother above anything else. And
again, being a parent is great, and it's one of the great things about being married. I don't know that it's the greatest thing, if it's necessary at all, but having kids is amazing. And tonight in the scriptures, it talked about the olive plants around the table. It's just such a great thrill to be part of raising our grandkids. And so one thing is, if you're fortunate enough to have children, it's great to be able to teach them, watch them grow up, lead them in the right direction, become their role models. And the way you become their role models is by doing it yourself. And sometimes they don't seem to be following in line, but you don't give up. You keep going, you keep making the example, you keep making suggestions. And there's still a couple of grandkids now that we're concerned about, and you got to be real careful how you encourage them to go to church and so on. But the other thing so you can be an example right now in your college life to all the students around you by the way you treat people, by the way you carry yourself, by the way you go to Mass. Everything you do, and they're watching you, they want to emulate you, they want to be like you. That's how you want to be. You want to be that person that they'll come to and say, I stole some guns and I put them under my bed. And the kid that did that was a fraternity brother of mine. I said, take them back. I can't hang out with you if you're not going to take them back. That's dishonest. I didn't like it. So you take that stand, and he did, and he respected me for that, and we've had a great friendship. And then finally, as a couple, being married, you have the opportunity to set an example for those friends that you have out there. And unfortunately, probably our four closest best friends is we're growing up divorced. It's really sad. And one thing they didn't have in common was religion. They weren't on the same page about that. So that's really good.
I guess I would just add, that going through life, two is better than one, unless you're an exceptional, wonderful priest. But I don't think that I would ever have gotten to the place in my life, and Steve either, with the kind of love we have for each other. I don't know how you get that unless you're really, you're with someone a long time, you're totally devoted to them. It's just amazing. And I think that we both, have been able to grow a lot like that. And God's given us a really special gift, because for us to be together this long and still really love each other is really amazing and beautiful.
This is awesome. We're going to go ahead and let's say a prayer. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Loving God, you who are a communion of persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you created us so that we might know what it is to be in relationship with others, which is ultimately your way of revealing your desire for a relationship with us. And so, Father, we ask for the grace to be able to respond to your invitation to know you, so that we can become that person who's ready to love others the way you love us. Lord, I ask your blessing upon each married couple in this room, each person who is married, that they might be strengthened and reminded of your presence with them. I ask your blessing upon each young person, each college student whom you are calling to marriage, that already now they would grow in that deep confidence that you are with them, that you have a plan for their happiness, and that anything that's not working for their happiness that you don't want for them. You give them the freedom to walk away from that and to live in hope of the gift of a person you wish to bring to them one day. Mother Mary, we ask for your intercession, that you who interceded at the wedding at Cana, that you would intercede this night and every night in the lives of the people here as they want to learn from you how to serve your Son. So we pray together, Hail Mary,
full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and in the hour of our death. Amen.
may Almighty God bless each one of you here, and in the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.